I did not think it was gonna make that big of a difference. Whoa! Hey guys, welcome back to my video. My name is Kayla Rundle. If you do not know who I am, this is a modification for my Civic. I am so excited for this one. This is the first performance mod that I have for my Civic. It is time to get this thing opened up. I am doing a collaboration with Napa Auto Parts on my TikTok. So if you guys want to go check out those videos, go check out my TikTok. It is the same as all my other social media accounts. It is Kayla Rundle. So I'm very excited to be working with Napa Auto Parts on this. Since we're on YouTube, we are installing an Injen cold air intake. So we got here, got the tiny parts, and we have part of the tube. I did order mine to be black, so just because I wanted it to look subtle in the engine bay. It's kind of like a textured black, but it's cool because it says tuned engine technology on it. So everybody will know it is aftermarket. We got the longer piping that we are gonna have to feed all the way down. It is possible you guys can get the short ram cold air intake for your car, but this is like the long cold air intake instead of just the short ram. So the intake actually goes all the way down to the bottom of your bumper. Is the filter, it's so tiny. I'm used to my muscle car parts. If my Camaro air filter was this small, I would send it back. This is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like someone shrunk it. I'm sorry, if you guys are like a JDM person watching this, you probably think I sound crazy. I'm used to my Camaro. I'm trying to get more into building other cars, so this is my reaction. Even this piping is so tiny. Look at it in comparison to my hand, so tiny. And it's funny, like this intake is designed so you do not have to get a tune for your vehicle. I have a 1.5 liter turbo, so this is specific to the 1.5 liter turbo, not the sedan version. I do have the hatchback. This should be able to be installed into the car without my car getting tuned. There has been some people in the forums saying that they had fuel trimming issues, and so there's long-term problems. After the whole Napa series on my TikTok, I probably will go get my car tuned, probably with Dyno Comp here in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's either that, K-Tuner, or like Hondata, or just doing it yourself. Sadly, my HP Tuners device does not work on my Honda, sadly, so I can only use that on my Camaro. This is definitely way more difficult to install than it is on my Camaro. It's metal too. I would freak out if my intake was metal on the Camaro just because of heat soaking issues. But we're gonna fix that because I have many more mods coming in the future, so it is definitely gonna help cool down my turbo. Wink, wink. So this is my stock cold air intake, and in a second I am going to start the car so you guys can hear what the stock intake sounds like. And I might actually have to remove my front bumper, even though I just did it for my new headlights from Ultimate Motorsports. These headlights make the entire front end of this car. We need screwdriver, 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 extended 10 millimeters. Great. So I literally try to undo like one screw on the top side, and I drop like my only screwdriver head all the way down. Yeah, my life. So now I'm taking off my whole bumper to go get the screwdriver head. Okay, I think I should be able to find my screwdriver head now. We shall see. I got it! Step 2, find the screwdriver head. Oh my god, that went through a whole battery on my camera. Before we get started, let's rev it up and see what the stock intake sounds like. I actually heard it quite well without the bumper on from inside the car. So now we'll be able to compare it at the end of this video. If you guys want to go see the comparison sounds, go to the very end. I wish I could do that right now. I'm gonna get this mass airflow sensor unscrewed. Pretty stuck on there. This mass airflow sensor just came off with the 2 screws that was on it, and then it is still connected to the box. So I need to get off the box because when we're gonna take the box out, we don't want the mass airflow sensor connected to it. I'm just gonna undo all of these like hose clamps. So the bolts holding the intake box also have like a screwdriver in the center, but it's also a 10 mil. Use a 10 mil because it gets really tight and very difficult to take them out. Just kidding, it was an 8mm, not a 10mm. I don't know why those are so tight. Just broke in half? Ugh, can't do anything. That's our stock intake out. Now the bottom piece. And our filter is kind of dirty, not really. I just replaced this like 8 months ago. I took off this whole unit because it was all connected, so it was very easy to take off. And I'm shaking this, and it looks like it's connected by that bolt, which looks like a 10mm, and then that bolt right there where my shadow is, all the way down there, is a 10mm. And there's the bolt I also snapped right next to it. I have a tendency of snapping things. Here it is, actually. The snapped bolt, the amount of bolts I snapped is actually quite sad. So I was struggling to find where the other bolt was, and I figured it out. It is, so this is why it's easy to remove the bumper, but I had to undo this portion of the bumper as well and pull this down, and then it's this with like the little bushing. So we're gonna have to undo that 10mm as well to release the rest of the cold air intake. All right, I got those 2 bolts out, and this is why it's nice for the bumper to be gone, because these bolts are really hard to see, but this bracket right here is what we are gonna have to remove. So this bolt, but it's hidden. So you can see how hard this would be. This black box right here, I can move it. This right here is the cold air intake. I can literally grab it. See it? That's the cold air intake. So we just have to get this off. That was officially the hardest thing I ever had to remove in my entire life. Every time I work on this car, it is absolutely a nightmare, especially if it has anything to do with this mess. The packaging on this car is designed so tightly. I never thought it could be that hard to get a cold air intake out of a car, but I did it. There's like 3 parts to this intake. You'll see I have it on the floor over here, but there's 3 parts, and the very bottom part is the part that I had a ton of trouble with. This guy, it even got like pretty banged up in the process. I got it out by taking out the metal panel off of the very bottom of the car, and then also, since my bumper was removed, I could pull down the huge plastic piece, probably about a foot, to fully pull out the intake from below the car. So I removed the intake from above and below. Absolute nightmare. Yeah, but it's out. And now putting the new one in should be the easy part. We need to remove this bracket here. I'm just gonna pull up this line, and I believe it's a 10mm, yep. Now I got this bracket off. It's like a little L shape. It's more towards where the end of your intake is, right here in the center. And then I disconnected this line out of there. Now is the beginning of installing our cold air intake. So they gave you this in the kit for the cold air intake. It's this little piece, and I think these are called vibra mounts. We have to put it in the threaded part of this piece, so it is this raised piece. I'm gonna take this nut off, actually. Take the nut and washer off. Put that in as so. All right, we need the screw out of the stock bracket, and we are going to install this with the screw in place of where I just took out the bracket. Putting the mount right on here, and then using this stock 10mm bolt to put it back where we just took off the other bracket. Washer and nut that came onto this piece, we're gonna save that later for when you install the intake, and then you put the washer and the nut on top of it. Grab the smaller of the two rubber hoses, and we are going to attach this on our stock intake to start getting the new intake on. I just set up the two hoses so they're matching because they were just flipped. And I'm gonna have the logo face to the right towards the driver's side, and we're just gonna slip this on. This clamp is gonna be used for the intake on this right side, and this one is to secure it to the left side. And for now, we're only gonna be tightening the one on the left side. This side that's closer to my face goes on the rubber hose that we just put on, and this bracket on the top goes to the bracket that we just installed. I'm trying to fix it so it doesn't block the logo. All right, at this point, we should have this hose connected with these two clamps that holds this, and it shouldn't really be moving at all or be loose. This is connected to this new bracket with this nut and washer I just tightened on with a 10mm. Now we just have to connect our mass airflow sensor, and it is connected by two screws here and here, and you do have to use the stock screws that you took out in the very beginning. Tighten it right back up like how it was when you took out your stock intake. And I do recommend cleaning off your mass airflow sensor if there's any debris or anything. Sometimes it can mess up what it is reading, and for tuning if you are getting your car tuned in the future. Just slide on this rubber hose to the end of this intake. For this option, you can just attach the filter right here if you guys want the short ram intake, but I'm doing the cold air intake, so I'm doing another pipe to feed down the filter all the way down there so it gets cold air from below the car. They recommend the short ram intake if you guys are driving in like crazy water conditions, but I'm in Arizona, so I'm doing cold air. Now I have this long intake. Before you put the long tube on the intake, you do have to go in and remove the 10mm screw on the bracket, just like I showed. You're using the vibra mount and putting this in the place of the 10mm screw that you guys just took out, and then attaching the thing to the vibra mount, the cold air intake to the vibra mount. All right, I just got the tubing for the intake, the bottom half on for the cold air intake, and it was actually easier for me to feed it from underneath here. So I just fed up the straight piece first into this hole, and it worked out because now the piping ends up right here. I couldn't get it through from the top for some reason, so I don't know if you guys will have trouble with that, but I did, and that's the way I did it. I fed it from the bumper up. Oh, we are on the last step, the air filter. And for this, we literally just have to connect it onto the pipe. Make sure you put the clamp on the filter first. We can install this right on here. I'm gonna make sure the spider and the engine is facing up and down so it looks aesthetically perfect. It looks so good, guys. I'm so excited to see what this sounds like. I have a million parts for the stock intake behind me. It's kind of gross seeing the stock intake and how big it was compared to this new one. Too bad we won't be able to see it really. You know, the engine bay, the air filter is going to be hidden, and also changing filters on this thing is going to be a pain. but that makes it all fun and games being a car person. This thing looks amazing. Very clean and a lot more space in this region. Are you guys ready to hear the effects of the Injen cold air intake? Let's rev her up. I'm gonna put the mic right next to the cold air intake right here. Stay. It's a lot louder. I think I'm used to my Camaro, so it's not that louder, but I do have the bumper on, so it sounds really good with it all put together, and it sounds like I actually have a turbo now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, if you guys think it's louder or not. I think I might have to take you guys for a drive because I just took my Civic around the block and the intake was 10 times louder than how it was when I revved it in the garage. And oh my goodness, I did not think it was gonna make that big of a difference. Like, I'm not even kidding with you guys. This video is not even sponsored. Holy moly, this thing sounds like fast now. I think I'm becoming like a true Honda Civic owner at this point. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Feel free to leave any questions or comments down below in the comments and I will get back to every single one of you guys. I hope you all have an amazing day or night, whatever time it is, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.